Hello everyone, welcome back to Doom Productions, and today we have another really special guest on our channel. These are some new faces, some filmmakers that we've gotten to know over the last year or so, and some of you might recognize them from a recent movie that we put on our channel called Pizza House. If you haven't seen it, you should definitely check it out, and yeah, this is Ghoul Capone. It's really cool getting to work with you guys finally. We've seen your guys' work for a while, and so it's great that this friendship collaboration ship has finally taken off. So introduce your guys' self a little bit. Where are you from? What do you do? Who are you?
Why are you in my house?
What are we doing here? Who am I?
These are all good questions.
Very good. We're gonna have to think about those actually. I'm Drew Crosby. I am from Sherwood, Oregon. I've lived there pretty much my whole life, and I do a little bit of. I'm one of the co-founders of Ghoul Capone Pictures. We make movies, genre films, short films mostly so far, but we're looking to get into more features. And we did Pizza House with you guys, and we've been getting to collaborate on some stuff, and it's been awesome. Same as you, we've been fans of your guys' work for a while now too, so it's really awesome to get together and do stuff.
And I'm Nolan Sternkoff, another co-founder of Ghoul Capone. I'm also from Sherwood, kind of. Well, I've lived places before Sherwood. We'll say Sherwood though, because that's probably where I lived the bulk of my life. But now I'm not in Sherwood, so. But anyway, there is also, it's worth noting, a third Ghoul Capone Pictures co-founder who is sadly not here with us today. Because she lives in Los Angeles.
Yeah, she's fine. She's fine.
Yeah, yeah, still alive.
No longer with us.
Not dead. Just not here. That's the Nessie Stafford. But we'll just have to speak on her behalf today.
Yeah.
Sure.
She won't mind.
Yeah.
No, Nessie is awesome. Just a real quick. This year you all did a screening. You did, I guess, a showcase. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
In January.
Members of Ghoul Capone Pictures. My name is Drew Crosby.
I'm Nessie Camilla Stafford.
And I'm Nolan Sternkoff. To talk briefly about Ghoul Capone Pictures, we're a local independent film label. We make a lot of different kinds of films, largely genre, just because we like genre films. We just want to thank you all so very much for coming out tonight as an independent film label. Having this many people show up to watch our stuff and show us support and love really means it.
Yeah, so at the showcase you all showed a collection of your short films from the last few years, and that was really cool. Nessie was there, and I think it was was it 2 weeks, 3 weeks before the showcase? I think you or Nessie asked me to score Nessie's film, The Head Scientist, and I was like, let's do it. And it was really cool getting to work with Nessie creatively in that. And then when I met her at the showcase, it was awesome to be like, hey, it's you.
Yeah.
And she was like, it's you. And we got to chat. And so Nessie's very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But it's what I think is really interesting, or I guess cool, is both of us are groups. We like genre in particular. I don't know if you all had the same experience, but in film school, I feel like a lot of classmates were very interested in drama or something, a lot of realist kind of stuff, which nothing wrong with that if that's what you like, but I always felt like we were more genre heavy, leaned into genre a little bit more. So I think it's cool that you guys are also into that as well. Is there any particular genre that you like working in the most, or is it just kind of dabbling in a little bit of everything?
I very much just kind of jump around between a bunch of things. I feel like most of the time it's comedy in some form. I think for me, as far as my writing goes, too, there's usually some kind of silliness to it or heightened reality to it. But then I feel like Nolan's big thing is horror a lot of the time. There's always a little bit of horror in his stuff.
I find I really like mixing genres, and that's something I'm very interested in. And I think most of my projects tend to run into that. But usually what that means is horror and something else. And that something else can rotate. But the horror's generally been pretty consistent. the last time I didn't do horror was probably Hair Girl, which is pre
Oh,
Ghoul
wow,
Capone.
yeah.
These are this is not in the Ghoul Capone canon. But yeah, so I tend to do a lot of horror, but I'm not like strictly married to horror. I'm interested in other genres, film noir being a big one. And I've been wanting to make a Western for ages now, and I'm hoping that's my next thing. But that'll also be a horror Western if it's what I'm currently planning. So, yeah.
You just can't get away from it.
Yeah, no, but yeah, we do like horror a lot. We like sci-fi. We've done a lot of sci-fi as
Yeah,
well.
lots of sci-fi.
And comedies, yeah, has cropped up a lot. So those are probably the three most consistent. But I think we just, we like genres. We like playing with the conventions and mixing them together, and kind of, it's just a fun thing. And I think a lot of our favorite films collectively between the three of us happen to be genre heavy films. It's not to say we don't like dramas or other areas, but that tends to hold a lot of special places in our hearts. So
Shall we briefly talk about, I guess, get a full history, how we met, how we got connected? I think that starts with the festival, the PSU festival, I think.
I think so, unless we might have been at a film festival.
yeah, I think
before we knew of each other.
Oh, you know,
you guys
I
were
think
at
you're
Video
right.
is the Future. Was that the one, or was it?
Yeah,
think so.
Video
Yeah,
Fest.
yeah,
Video
yeah,
Fest
Video
is the
Fest.
future.
So that was. I don't think we interacted. I think
No, we didn't.
I think we were there adjacent to each other. We both had films in the festival.
Well, let's talk about that film real quick,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
was it Fire Hill?
That was
Fire
Fire
Hill.
Hill, yeah.
Fire Hill. They made a movie called Fire Hill, which is like a comedy, which is right up our like the type of comedy that we love, about a guy who's looking for the best hot wings, right? Or like chicken wings.
Yeah.
And it's hilarious. It's on your channel, right?
Yeah, that one is up on YouTube.
Yeah, check it out. It's awesome and hilarious. And then we screened. What did we screen?
It was La Danza, right?
the short.
The
yeah,
short.
yeah, I think it was
Yeah,
the
yeah.
short.
I remember, seeing that one there.
Yeah, and so that's where we crossed paths, but we didn't interact.
Right.
Yes, ships passing.
We
in the
became
night.
aware of
Yeah.
each other's existence in a vague sense.
Yeah.
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 Well, that short stood out to us so much because we were like, oh, because you had a Hawaiian T-shirt on. It was like,
It was reminiscent of a character we had made in the past, and so that was just in our head the whole time. We're like, "Oh my gosh, these guys are like us."
Similar
That we,
sensibilities.
yeah, we're like them, and so we got to meet these guys at some point. But we didn't find you guys there, obviously. So
Yeah.
But then a while later, we got a chance to cross paths. Did you reach out to them after?
I don't know where I
Well,
saw
Who
it.
reached out?
We
Oh,
had
yeah.
we had another chance to not cross paths.
Yeah.
Actually, is what happened because I was doing my last year at PSU. I put together this film festival, the PSU Viking Film Festival. That was for current, incoming, and alumni PSU students to
Okay.
submit movies, like short films that they had made. So I opened that up, and then I'm not sure how you found it, but
can't
maybe a
remember either.
Facebook group or something.
Probably Instagram because I follow the Sub Basement Studios. Is what it's called now.
Okay, yeah, it was
Yeah.
because it was through that I was putting that show together.
Yeah,
so.
and I was like, okay, cool. It's for alumni and it's free. But I didn't have. I think there was a time limit, right, of like 20 minutes or something.
Something like that.
There's-
yeah.
'cause they
It might have
don't-
been 40 minutes or
Yeah.
20 to 40.
No
somewhere in
no
there.
features allowed essentially, and I was like, well, I should submit something, but I didn't have any shorts really. And then I cut down Two Little Ghosts into, I can't remember how long it was, maybe 20 minutes or so, something like that.
Mhm.
I cut a short version of that, submitted it. I didn't end up going to the festival because something came up that night.
But yeah, it was. I loved that Two Little Ghosts so much, so that was definitely one that I picked. And I think there were only a couple of other alumni that submitted too.
Mhm.
So I think it was you and one other guy
Mhm.
who was like out of the state too. So,
Right.
But yeah, I love that movie so much.
And I
And it was
remember you
awesome to show it.
Telling us
then
about that one. That was like a highlight for you, because I remember you reached out to Nessie and you were like, "This one's incredible."
Yeah, I was like, y'all gotta see this.
Where's the award?
Yeah.
Why didn't we get? Where's the cash
Explain
prize?
that.
No awards, no awards. The award was being in the show.
Oh.
I might still have like a certificate for you actually
Oh.
that I need to give you.
Oh,
I think that's sitting in my room. I should
Were
next
there,
time we meet up.
Were
I'll
there
try to
actual
do it.
awards at that festival? I can't.
Just the like if you were in the show,
Okay.
I made like a
It was like
certificate,
yeah.
or like the group made
an
like,
official
certificates.
selection certificate, essentially.
Yeah,
hand drawn with Crayola markers,
Yeah.
and
yeah,
stickers.
They were done 30 minutes before the event.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And then, so I think you reached out sometime after. This was last summer. Like, this was really not that long ago. And we met up because you were like, why did you reach out?
Yeah. Why did you want?
I don't know. I don't know if it was you or if it was me,
But I
but
could find this out.
it
Hold on,
might
you
have
keep
been.
talking. I'm gonna look.
Actually,
look
no.
it
It probably was me being like, "Hey, I have this certificate for you.
up.
Do you want it?"
And I still don't have it.
Yeah. So I was probably like, "Oh, we can meet up, and I could give it to you." And then I forgot. it.
This whole podcast
Yeah,
was a
June-
roundabout
June
way to
8th.
tell us that.
June 8th last year. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who
You were
wrote-
like,
who wrote that big
Yeah. Who
wall of text?
who did who?
yeah. And then we all met up. Well, I think we met up first, and we just hung out, and then we kind of realized there was similarity between our groups, and then us and you all, we met up at what's it called?
Fire on the Mountain.
Fire on the Mountain.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes.
Which kind of inspired Fire Hill in ways. So
Yeah, full
we
circle.
like to go back to there because it's a great restaurant in Portland. We're going to plug Fire on the Mountain now.
Yeah.
Incredible
Fire on the
wings.
They're
Yeah.
great.
There's several locations in Portland, but yeah, they did inspire the name, at least in Fire Hill.
Well-
But they didn't let us film there, so
Oh.
it's not a full endorsement.
Points against them.
We had I don't know if you knew it. I didn't know it was a wing place, but then when I plugged it into Google, I was like, "It's Hot Wings. This is perfect."
I knew because it was 2 blocks from my high school, and I
That's right.
all high school I went there. So I hadn't been
Awesome.
since though. I just never got around to going back there. So it was like, oh, this is perfect.
It was great. Yeah,
we went. We ate the bones.
I know.
It was delicious.
Delicious.
So good. And then we've just been kind of chatting ever since, really. And then I think it was the festival, like preparing for the festival to some extent. I think you and I met up in particular then, and that kind of got the ball rolling on scoring Nessie's film and collaborating in some sort, and then that turned into Pizza House essentially.
Mm-hmm.
Ethan, you were there when the idea of Pizza House came along. Do you remember?
Not the idea, like the actual thing. I mean, we just
Mhm.
wanted a project to shoot for the Oscars movie,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't remember exactly how that idea was.
Well, I don't remember how I remember we were in the car. We were driving to Portland to visit for one of our meetings with JC.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Oh, man, but a lot
I
of
know.
our ideas come from there.
I
It's
know.
all a mash.
Car rides are great for brainstormings. And then we came to you guys. I think, did we have a big meeting all together, or was it?
I think that was just a me and you meeting too,
Mhm.
where we ended up having pizza, and then it was like, oh,
Oh yeah, that's right.
Pizza House.
Pizza House. Yeah.
What if we did this in a house?
Yeah.
So I've got this Pee-Pee's Pizza going on.
Who came up with the name Pee-Pee's Pizza? Who was that? Who do we blame?
That's probably Jordan.
It's probably me. I
That
think
was you.
Because
He
it was
in a
definitely before Pizza House was phrased Pee-Pee's Pizza.
Well, I think you came up with the name Pizza House. I think because on the original document it was supposed to be called like PP's Pizzeria or something not as good. But then when we got pizza, I think you said Pizza House at some point. And I was like, oh, that's great because we made a movie called House, and it'll
Yeah, I remember
Yeah.
that.
yeah,
In a way, they're more similar than one would expect.
yeah, and I feel like the project came together really easily. I don't know on your side because we
Oh,
didn't do
yeah.
too much casting. Talk about the casting side on your guys' end because you
Yeah.
pretty much everybody involved except for some of our players that returned. It was mostly Ghoul Capone people involved.
I think you pretty much gave us a list of characters that you would come up with,
Mm-hmm.
and then we just started throwing out names of people that we thought were funny and would
Yeah.
be available. And most of them could do it. I think there's a couple that couldn't, but yeah, it was kind of just like, who do we know who likes to work with us on like anything,
Right.
and who would be kind of easy to fill into places, which is always fun. We like getting those people together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it was so quick. Like when we were there, I don't know if you two had the same experience. I guess for us three,
us three probably was pretty similar.
yeah, because how did the structure film was kind of like we all got together, and then because you're in every scene, we pretty much went off and we did skits with one person at a time, essentially.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And we met a day prior to film all your stuff on a green screen too, so that made it really easy to kind of get the technical stuff out of the way.
Yeah, that was great having the whole what was it, the training video stuff. That was a great way to, I mean, it's the first thing in the film too, so that was a great way to just kind of work with each other a little bit before expanding to the whole group, because the three of us kind of got in sync, I think, through that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And it was nice because, like, I thought, oh, gee, we might not be able to film the tech stuff on the same day. But looking back, I think we totally could have. Because we filmed...
We got done so early.
Yeah, like,
way early.
10 hours is including that other kind of day. It was like a Monday. We shot for like 4 hours. And then filming the rest of the movie was just 6 hours on that Sunday.
That is wild.
I know.
Went for it.
It was really smooth. So what was I guess, all that to say, what was the experience like for you guys involved? Making that experience, making I keep saying Pizza House.
Making pee-pee.
Yeah, making pee-pee. What was it like making pee-pee?
I did. Pee-pee comes natural to us.
Yeah.
So. I mean, it was so much fun. Like, for me, I was just kind of really in it with you guys, like, go. So it was very much like, I mean, it was nice for my character too, has a very specific goal to deliver this pizza. So like, I always had something to go back to as far as my purpose in every scene is pretty similar. So I knew, like, the headspace was easy to get into because I have a job and I got to do it, and things are a little weird. I've got this like positive attitude, but that's kind of unshakable, but it gets tested time and time again. And there's kind of a descent into madness that was really fun to play with too.
Thank you, Bartholomew.
Positive, polite, pleasant. Positive, polite, pleasant.
Get out of this house! Leave this house with your paws! Get out of this house!
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was just like, it was really action heavy. So there wasn't a lot of time to think about what was going on necessarily, which I think worked really well for the improv style of it and the zaniness we were going for too. Because yeah, I mean, it was really cool getting to work with each of the other actors too. Like I got kind of like a moment with everybody, which was really fun and led to a lot of unexpected things that were just great. So yeah, I mean, I just had so much fun. I was having a great time.
It was so impressive. Like, we didn't, when you bring in friends, especially like in the way this was put together, it's always like, just show up, like, just be a person there. But the level of like preparedness that everyone brought on set was like awe-inspiring, and it led to some of the best parts of the whole movie. Like, so many great moments. You could tell people were just like so like ready to go for their parts of the movie.
Well, Joe's monologue
was insane.
That's what I was.
He came up with, as far as I understand, he came up with that like seconds before.
Really?
Like, yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Like it was at least after he showed up on set. It was my understanding, because I was talking to him, and then he was like, "I have an idea," and then he went outside, and then he came back and he's like, "I'm gonna try something. I just went outside to record it for myself to see if it works." And he's like, "I'm gonna give it a shot." And then it sounds like he had memorized it for days. But as far as I know, he had just kind of like, Joe's really good with dialogue.
Yeah,
so awesome.
He's a great writer, and he's great at like performing things like that on the spot too. It's impressive.
Well, when he did that, because it was Ethan and I, we had singles on each person. I was on Joe, you were on Drew. And he did it, and I was like, and then at a certain point, he left the frame. And at that point, we're like, no, we're not redoing that. That was perfect.
You can't.
So then we just moved setups to put them both in a 2-shot.
Yeah.
And that was part of, like, that was so great about the improv part of filmmaking.
And it was the first pain I ever felt. And as I lay there, covered in birth juice and screaming, I said, fine, I shall walk this foul earth. But every time, and I mean every time, that pizza is in my presence, it shall be mine. Mine. Mine! Give it to me! Give it to me now!
What other kind of, because you were, I think, around more of the cast longer than we were, Nolan, because we were kind of we were kind of going around just grabbing people, using them over here, and you were with the cast. What was that like? Just kind of as people were preparing for their parts. I mean, talk about your experience.
Well, yeah, I think my experience making the movie was a decent amount different than yours, because you guys were going the whole time, which I remember being pretty like impressed by, because it was like you guys didn't have breaks. Everybody else had long stretches of breaking. So for me, it was kind of just like I just got to hang out with a bunch of people I like or have just met and I'm getting to know for long stretches of time. And it was kind of like a fun social event because we were all just hanging out, having a good time. And then we would intermittently go film with you guys and just get to kind of have fun on camera for a few minutes and then go back to hanging out. So for me, it was very relaxed, easy process. And I think most of the rest of the cast and crew felt that way from the vibe I got, because it was a lot of just kind of hanging out, having a good time, and then getting to shoot fun scenes. And everybody, I know, like when people knew their stuff was coming up, they'd be everybody was kind of keeping track of who you guys were on, and then if their scene was going to be coming up, and just kind of refresh themselves on the beats in the scriptment. Otherwise I think like the cool thing about that shoot was it was so relaxed feeling. But it still came out like
chaotic.
So hectic.
I don't know.
And now you're not yelling at Drew, but you're yelling at each other, but Drew's just caught in the middle. And he's in the middle, and it looks like you're about to argue, and like fists are going to start flying pretty soon. And that's when our raccoon comes in. And I think what would be great, Rufus, is if you're just already right here, and once the fight breaks out, you just pop up with the hood, and you're like, "Come with me if you want to live." Like it's one of those moments, and you grab Drew and you bring him this way, essentially.
And then there was the portions where everybody was in the scene together, and that was kind of great because then everyone was doing the same thing. But for me, it was just a big hangout.
Everybody has a moment, and the thing that I love, everybody has a moment in that movie that I just love. Like, because sometimes you'll work on movies and you'll have like a character or an actor in a thing, and it's like, it's cool, but like nothing stands out about that character. I think everybody did something to their character to make that character stand out. And with you, Nolan, the thing that gets me about your character is just your expression as soon as Drew walks in. Because I don't know how your character's feeling. Was it Will Patty? No, what was his name?
I think Patty.
I think it was
right.
Patty.
Yeah.
I don't think it's ever spoken on camera, but that was the scriptment. Yeah.
But just because you came up with, how did you come up with that like addicted like to meat
meth addict?
The drug addict version of like a carnivore or whatever.
Yeah. Well, okay. So the original concept was that Patty would be offended by the meat because Patty's vegetarian. Skylar and I are both vegetarians, and I was like, so I could do that, but and like just play an exaggerated version of myself. But I don't remember how I thought of that, but I just remember you guys were really like, I think it speaks well to how you were going about making the film, because when I proposed the idea, you were immediately like, yeah, let's do it. So the whole production had so much room to just like try out things like that. And
like dealing with a recent addiction, that's something you're cool with me playing it that
Absolutely,
way?
yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Because then maybe I can be like asking questions about pepperoni and stuff. Is it okay to use one of these?
Yeah. I just don't know my dog laid on them, but as long as
that's fine. Yeah.
I think I came up with that idea before the actual day we shot. I want to say it was like at our last meeting. I mentioned it.
Yeah.
Our last meeting before the shoot. But then once we were there and we tried it out, I think it just kind of works. So.
It works so well. Just your expression as Drew comes in, because it's like this almost old lady Victorian, like reclining on this big couch kind of thing,
like gazing off into the distance.
Because you have to think, what was this guy doing before Drew came in? Just staring at the ceiling wrapped in a blanket.
I enjoyed it before every take of like every shot I was in. We'd blast my face with water to try to make
That's
myself
right.
look
That's right.
as clammy and like
Yeah.
sweaty as possible, like withdrawal sweats. And that was fun
So
too because
much.
that made it very easy to like be in that headspace because I was just like
You're drenched.
so yeah
Wet.
drenched. And,
Yeah. No, the whole movie I'm so happy with how the movie turned out. I think whatever tricks the cast did to do what they did, everything just clicked. Everything worked. Like, I don't think we really. I mean, we did a couple of takes of like scenes, but it was more like for pacing or like let's just compress the time a little bit because everything worked really great. But most of it, I feel like we didn't do multiple takes on for the most part.
No. And some of them we did in one.
Yeah.
Or like you just like that setup was good and you just moved the setup a little bit to cover the rest of the scene. But
Yeah.
there were a couple of times where that just worked really well.
Yeah.
Yeah, if we ever did multiple, it was almost always just like twice.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this isn't the first experience that you two have had with improv movies before. Because you made Lake Titty Crab.
Yes.
Did you make another improv movie prior to that?
yes.
Or was that your first?
A little bit. It was
You guys did.
that one was mainly me and Nessie and Skylar actually. Who did we did this other movie for I think it was the first time that Joel Haver was doing his Oscar movie challenge, and we did this really bizarre like secret agent movie that's we don't have to talk too much about that one.
Okay.
But
You don't need to seek it out necessarily.
you don't necessarily need to seek
But
it
it's
out.
in the playlist if you're curious.
It's in the playlist. Secret Hollywood Agent Recon Time, right? Secret Hollywood Agent Recon Time. SHART for short is that one.
Shart.
But that was very much just us dipping our toes into it for the first time and doing like that one was really like all play. I guess we also had a vague outline for it, but it wasn't so much as like a script.
It was like changing on the day though, because like you guys. So I was at work that day, and I was like, I kind of want to be involved a little bit. So on my 30-minute lunch, me and William, who works with me and is also in Pizza House as Rufus the raccoon. William and I shot a like 30-second to a minute long scene on my lunch break, and with like no regard to anything you guys had done, and
that's right. And then we were like, oh shit, everything has to work around this somehow. So it doesn't make sense. It's extremely convoluted.
Yeah, it's the opening, and it's pretty disconnected from everything else.
It's pretty good though. It's pretty good. That scene's pretty good. I mean, the whole piece is pretty messy because I only had like 2 days to edit because I had like finals that I was studying for, and then
it was shot all remote, really.
Yeah, because Nessie was in California at that point, so we were trying to collaborate between distances, and then I tried to like mass download all of the files that she sent me, and for some reason Google Drive just like didn't give me a couple of those files. So at the end of editing, I got a whole bunch of scenes and I just didn't have time to edit them, so they're in there pretty unedited, which makes the movie like a lot longer than it probably should have been. But it was fun. It was really fun to be just in that space of kind of playing again. Like I used to make kind of home movies with my younger brother Braden a lot. I feel like when I was in middle school probably was when that mostly happened, and it felt like that. Something about this kind of quick, fast-paced improv style filmmaking really feels like kind of doing homemade videos and really just like experimenting with your friends, which is something I really love about it. But then, so aside from that one, which was really just more an experiment than anything, we just wanted to make something and get involved in that challenge. We did The Lost Troop of Lake Titty Crab, which is a camping comedy that we filmed on a friend of ours' parents' property, like in the woods. That one was also kind of like I guess also born out of just really wanting to make something
Mhm.
more than anything else. That was kind of leading up to the end of my time at Portland State University in the film major program there.
Mhm.
And I had met a lot of people just kind of throughout school and throughout just kind of life, I guess.
Right.
And I kind of had a few different groups where I was like, it would be great to work with these people to make something together. So I kind of just like, I made this, it was spring break was coming up and I didn't have any plans at all for spring break. And it was like, I got to do something. So I just kind of, I just kind of went and I put together an outline for that too. So there was kind of a vague story and beats for basically each scene kind of had its purpose. Again, didn't quite get to the point of, I think your guys' scriptments are a little bit more detailed as far as like what each character's kind of priority is. And at that point, I just kind of gave like the general group's priority, I think, scene by scene. So that was something we figured out on set more, was where each character was kind of coming from in the scene. So a lot of that was very, I mean, the whole thing was pretty improvised.
Yeah,
Besides
showing up to that one and not really like knowing what my character was yet until we were shooting actually.
And you're suddenly peeing right at the camera.
Yeah.
Which was actually at the end of the shoot, but it is the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that I had some things in place ahead of time as far as like costumes and I have a neighbor with an RV. They were super cool to lend us their RV to use as kind of a set. So like at one point I was planning to be inside of it. We really just ended up using it more as a prop, I think.
Yeah.
And a base camp like off camera because it was a very cold,
Yeah.
very wet night, very long night, and so we could kind of take shelter in there between takes.
Yeah, we had some pizza in there.
Eat our food, yeah.
All the props were in there. We had some Pee-Pee's pizza.
So how long was that shoot? Was it just like a weekend, or how many days, nights? It sounds like, how long did that could take?
Honestly, it was probably a similar amount of time as Pizza House.
Okay.
Because it was 2 days back to back, one night and one morning. And yeah, probably about 10-hour shoot total.
Did you all camp over?
Shorter.
Did you camp overnight, or was it like you went out there and then drove back?
Everybody drove back.
Okay.
Because our second day shoot was at a totally different spot, like pretty far away.
Oh, interesting.
But that shoot was
the
much
actual
shorter.
lake Titty Crab that we got.
Yeah.
Hag Lake. We love Hag
Oh,
Lake.
it's Hag Lake.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Which is also where you shot your short film, Rockies.
Rocky's dead.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Rocky's
Also at
dead.
Hag Lake.
We love Hag Lake.
Yeah.
It's,
It's a good
it's a
spot.
great spot. But yeah, so with that, the idea for that one kind of came out of just wanting to make something and then being like, kind of, that was a moment where I was very like, school is about to end. I don't know what I'm doing. So I tried to kind of sprinkle that into the plot a little bit. Like there's a couple of people in this improv troupe that gets lost in the woods that are about to graduate, and they're a little existential about it. It's not like a super prominent thing, just because I kind of had a couple of ideas for scenes that were a little more sentimental, I think, that we just kind of didn't have the time to do. Like I had to kind of bridge a couple of scenes together, and then just in the moment we were having so much fun just doing what ended up being on camera that it was like I didn't really want to slow it down and do too much of that. I think there's just enough of it like in the last scene, I think, to kind of tie it together as a piece that's very like, this guy's about to graduate college and he doesn't know what's going on, but he's trying to live in the moment. Yeah.
Where did Wonderwall come from in the song? Slight spoilers for the movie. There's the song Wonderwall is incorporated into it.
That was somebody improvised that line, right?
I think that was something Evie came up with when we were shooting, and I thought that was really funny. So I would try to bring it back towards the end because I was like, I don't know how to end this, but we had this joke that I thought was really funny, even though it was like super. Like, I think she must have like joked about it more when we were actually on set, because in the movie, she like barely says it, and then I kind of pick it back up, and I'm like, oh, was that Wonderwall? So like we must have been like just joking about it on set, and I thought it was funny. Because then at the end I was like, what's some way to show that these guys are like, they're more unified? Like they don't think they're all like, towards the beginning everybody thinks the other person, everybody thinks each other is dumb, and like they kind of are. All the characters are a little dumb.
Sure.
But I think at the end they kind of embrace that, and they're just like, well, we had a good time even though all this crazy stuff happened.
We're dumb together.
Yeah. So then I was like, what if we all sing Wonderwall just as this super cheesy outro, like, we're buddies, what the heck? And so that's exactly what ended up happening. But then Draven, one of the cinematographers that we had, was like, do you want a cover of that? And I was like, yeah. So then we have this crazy like punk cover of Wonderwall that cuts in like after we sing it like kind of comes in and the credits are set to that. But,
from local Portland band Serial.
Yes,
Serial. Draven is a member of
Draven Ford and Serial. Yes, thank you, Draven.
We had a very similar thing with our Oscar movie, the last year 22, where we did Dude, Where's My Mountain Dew? Because there's a monkey.
Film.
There's a monkey that appears in that.
An actual fucking chimp.
There's a chimp.
Yeah, it's true.
And one of the guys involved, he was like, "Hey, do you want a cover of Ocean Man, but with the monkey version?" And we're like, "Yeah, sure." And in my head, I'm thinking, okay, it's gonna be, instead of Ocean Man, Monkey Man. It's gonna be singing about bananas and swinging in trees. And then I get this file at like 4 a.m. and I click on it, and it's like as I'm getting up to like get ready for my day and everything, and it's Ocean Man, but it's a monkey noises. Just... where the words should be, and I lost it. Like I was not expecting that.
And like, it was such a fast turnover too.
It was the next day or like the next week or something.
No, it was like literally they leave. He's like, "Do you want this?" We're like, "Sure." They must have gotten back, and then that next morning, I swear it was that quick.
Yeah, it was crazy.
That's awesome.
Dude.
Yeah,
it was incredible. And that was another movie. We were like, "How do we end this thing?" We had no idea how to end that movie.
No, we need an album now, a compilation album with the Wonderwall cover and the Ocean Man cover, and we'll just keep adding to
more.
I'll have
a little EP.
Another weird coincidence. I'll have to get the original version from Draven, because the first file he sent me just had it's what you hear in the final movie, except for it also had just random cat noises throughout, like completely unprompted. So that's out there somewhere. I don't know if Draven's gonna release that sometime or not, but if the collab
we'll
album
petition
happens,
for it.
This is like
release
a Brian
the meow
Wilson
cut.
making pet noises or whatever, where he just brings animals to the studio and everybody else is like, "What are you doing?" Man, that's crazy.
It's art. It's art.
I know. That's awesome. I do want to talk about too, because we kind of skimmed over, but you guys have made features, or at least one as Ghoul, Rotten Shadows.
Yeah.
And when I made my video a couple weeks ago, now whenever this comes out, you messaged me Rotten Shadows, and I had seen that when it came out, but in my head I was like, for whatever reason, when I was thinking about it, I was like, because I was thinking the showcase was fresh, and in my mind, like, what's it called? Grover's Mill had like Grover's Mill and the Halloween short you guys did, which was an awesome one too. Yeah. What was that called?
That's Bad Crop. Yeah.
Bad Crop. Bad Crop is awesome. Whenever that's showing anywhere, like check it out. That one is sick. I
and
love
Grover's Mill, both
this
of those.
summer and fall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, those two movies like blended in my mind, and I like projected that into my memory of like what Rotten Shadows was. And you sent it to me, and I was gonna rewatch your guys' stuff anyways. But it was like a good reminder. It's like, okay, I'll watch that. And then it started, and I was like, wait, this is familiar. Like this, it felt like I was watching it again, and I was like blown away a second time by just how polished and the cleanness of everything. the great location. Talk about making Rotten Shadows, because I have all these Rotten Shadows questions now.
Oh, cool. Okay. I'm glad I resent it to you, because when you were like, I've seen it, I was like, oh, whoops, my bad.
No. It was good. It was a good
Yeah.
reminder for me, because I was like, I thought I remembered it, but I didn't. I conflated it with in my mind.
Yeah, I'm glad you sent it too, because I had the same idea after watching that video. I was like, oh, we should send them.
Yeah.
We did do a
'Cause
feature.
that's-
Wait
yeah.
a second.
So Rotten Shadow, it's 45 minutes long, so it's like
It's
on the cusp. Yeah, it's you know, I like to think it's a feature, and I think a lot of people would consider it a feature. It seems like 40 minutes tends to be like a generally agreed upon.
Yeah.
But yeah. So Rotten Shadows. Okay, way back when, the earliest days of Ghoul Capone. Actually, we hadn't even called it Ghoul Capone.
Yeah, it was before that.
We used to go by a different name, and we were gonna make a like final film under that name before we transitioned into what would then become Ghoul Capone, because we thought all of our films under that label were kind of like high school era stuff, and we thought we'd kind of matured as filmmakers since then, and we wanted to kind of start fresh. So we had this idea to do an anthology feature where Nessie, Drew, and myself would each do like a roughly 30-minute short. And they would be pretty separate, but they would all have maybe some like thematic through lines or something to tie them together. And we'd release it as an anthology feature as like the big finale. But that was like early in the pandemic, so it didn't like really pan out that way. But I really liked the script I'd written for my third of it, and that was the script for Rotten Shadows. And so I was like, I hadn't made anything in a little bit at that point, so I was like, I'm committing. We're gonna make this. We're just gonna do it, and we crowdfunded for it. But yeah, so it's a horror noir, and the idea is you take like the kind of private investigator film noir archetype and make it a paranormal investigator. And I wanted to do kind of like a traditional like haunted house ghost story, but kind of put this noir spin on it.
It's a great concept. It's a great premise.
It was a lot of fun, because like a lot of the reason I wanted to do that concept and premise was so we just had an excuse to like go find an abandoned house somewhere and film in it. You guys have a great abandoned house in your new film.
Yeah,
I saw that and I was like, but
thank you.
I'm always like into that stuff. But actually finding the abandoned house ended up being the hardest part of the whole process. Pre-production was like pretty smooth, but we just could not find an abandoned house that would either like where we could contact somebody involved with it to get like permission to film, or or if we could contact them, they would generally not respond.
I remember like driving around to places with you a few times, and like trying to find houses too that were just like private properties nobody had access to.
Like the knock on the door method, and it was rough, and it delayed our production a lot. But finally, we got in contact with these people. I think through the Oregon Film.
What's like AMPA or LM?
What's the name? Oregon Film. Yeah. Oh man, it's on the tip of my tongue. I feel bad because I want to shout out to them because they're great.
Was it just through the film office? Or...
Yeah, was it just the film? Was it just the Oregon Film Office? Maybe it's just.
It might have been the Oregon Film Office, or OMPA, the Oregon Motion Pictures Association.
I think it was the Oregon Film Office,
because they have a database, right? Did you use that database?
They have a location database.
Yeah,
and so I've used it twice now actually. The first time was Rotten Shadows. The second time was the Battle of Grover's Mill. And that's how we got our exterior location for the house,
which was featured in the rehearsal.
Yeah.
Which we didn't find out till we were there for the data shoot, and they were like, "Hey, that HBO thing we told you was shooting here that we didn't know what it was the rehearsal, and the trailer had just come out." And I was like, "That's the new Nathan Fielder show." I'm a huge Nathan Fielder fan. So it was like, it felt like we were on holy ground, because we're like, Nathan Fielder.
This is where Nathan was.
Yeah. So that was like really surreal then watching the rehearsal and seeing that house that we were shooting at. But anyway, that's a side tangent. Yeah. So the Oregon Film Office is great because they have a location database, and if you request more information on a location you're interested in, they will actually go through the effort of seeing if they still have the contact info for the owners, if it's up to date, and then they'll give you that info. And it's like an actual person at the office who takes the time for free to look into it for you and get you the necessary contact info. And then sometimes even, I think like reach out on your behalf if they're unsure if the person is still like interested in having their house be on this registry. So that was really cool and a great resource. But yeah, so they got us in contact with these people in Eastern Oregon in this tiny town called Flora. And when I say tiny, I mean there's like 6 residents in this town.
Jeez.
It's in the very northeastern corner of Oregon in Wallowa County, but like even further north than the Wallowa Mountains. So it's right on the like Washington, Oregon, Idaho border, just right in that little corner.
Wow. I was watching, I was like, oh, they must have shot out in Hillsboro.
Yeah.
Or like Dick Road, like
No.
PCC's Rock Creek. No, you guys went far.
It does look like around here, so it's like we didn't need to go that far, but like we ended up kind of having to go that far because of the abandoned house.
Mm-hmm.
And that ended up being like our biggest expense, but it was our only option at that point.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm glad it worked out that way, because this also happened to be like when stimulus checks were coming through.
Oh, yeah.
So I was able to just like put money at this thing.
That's sick.
So we've crowdfunded $4,000, and then we got like an additional, or I was able to put an additional like $3,000 of my own money that the government essentially just handed me at the time.
Yeah.
Plus like a little more out of my own pocket or whatever. But it was great because we drove up like 8 hours and spent a solid week staying in these cabins in southeastern Washington.
Bogan's Oasis.
Bogan's Oasis. Check them out. We had such an amazing stay, and they have these great cabins in like the bottom of this like canyon. It's called Rattlesnake Ridge, and the bottom of this canyon, cool. It's like complete desert, and we're in these cabins, and they were really nice cabins, and they were really affordable. And so we stayed there for a week, and then we would each day like drive 30 minutes out of the canyon into the Oregon side to shoot in Flora at this abandoned house, and the owners were super nice, Vanessa and Dan. They're great, and yeah, so it was an experience we hadn't had before and really haven't had since. In that we were like, everybody was there to do nothing but make a movie, and we were all like far away from home. There was like no distractions. It was just like we were there to make a film, and it was a really good time. Yeah, and then we shot the rest of it like at my apartment back home here, and yeah, so I think it ended up being a long time in the making.
Mm-hmm. And how long did it take to edit?
Almost a year. And part of that was me being slow, but a big part of that was also like figuring out sound things. And Nick Nip, who's done the music for a number of our films.
Oh, the score was great.
Yeah, so that's my favorite part of the movie, and
it's available now on CD.
Yeah. Yes, it is available currently right now, unless it's sold out.
It could be
sold out now,
but if you want it,
but it'll be available to stream. I think April 17th. I hope that's right.
Make more. I don't know.
Yeah. But anyway, so Nick Nip, he spent a long time making this amazing score, and it was well worth the wait because it's incredible. And he did like recording with a live saxophone player and a lot of like and live piano player and a lot of actually recorded instruments. And I really wanted to get the noir vibe even more than the horror vibe in the score. And Nick did both beautifully, and yeah, it's just like a really, really cool dark jazz kind of score. But yeah, that was Rotten Shadows. It's a film we made a while ago now, so I think like when we watch it now, there's certain things where we're like, like we probably could have done that better. But it's still an accomplishment I'm proud of to this day, I think, and
oh yeah, for sure. I'm still really impressed myself by just like the pacing of it. I think it goes at a really good pace. And yeah, of course the score is incredible, and I really love what you and the DP Ben did with cinematography also. Like you guys put movement into just about every shot in a way that really makes it flow.
Did you use dollies? Like how did you get those smooth movements?
So we got a slider and used it like as frequently as possible, and then and yeah, because we wanted like this sense of like the house being alive.
Yeah.
So we were like, oh, it'd be interesting if like just about every shot is like slowly creeping either towards the camera or away from the camera. It just kind of feels like that, like when you're in the house, like there's this kind of constantly like alive feel to it. And so if we weren't on the slider, we were either on this like homemade dolly that I have had for years now that's pretty much needs to be retired now because it's made out of like PVC pipe and it's really rough.
It's the film riot approach.
Exactly. Or Ben's gimbal. Which is such a lifesaver when you're in a low budget like high speed filmmaking. Just throw it on a gimbal and actually some of the coolest looking motions in the film I think were just on gimbal. So, but yeah, we tried to do as few. There are still shots, but we tried to do as few of those as possible. I think most of them are in the apartment scenes.
Yeah, they're in the other location.
Yeah,
I think. Yeah.
So,
yeah. Well, that's really cool. I think we're coming here pretty close to the end. But I want to ask you one last question, or if you have another one too.
No, go ahead.
But I was curious what advice you have for any filmmakers who want to make movies, and what's your go-to advice that you tell anybody who's like, hey, I want to make a movie. What advice can you give me?
Do you have that?
Sure, I'll go first. Yeah. Well, I've always found the thing that has served me the most is it's kind of what we talked about with like when Rotten Shadows was really conceived. But even if you have an idea that seems kind of out there and hard to accomplish, just stop trying to go into it with the mindset of like I want to do this or I'm going to try to do this. And like as much as you can possibly force yourself to go into it with the mindset of I'm going to do this. This is going to happen. It's not like a matter of if. I'm just going to do it. And the things like even there will always be compromises in filmmaking and it's never going to be necessarily like even your original plan, but that's okay. As long as you just like go in with that mindset, generally things will happen if you stick to that and you'll end up with something. And, you know, it might be a little bit different than you originally conceived, but it might be better. And so that's always served me well, is just kind of having that, like, I'm going to do it. And, yeah, another thing I'd just say is, like, start reaching out to anybody and everybody who you think could help or might be interested in helping, even if it's a total shot in the dark. I find that the ball starts rolling a whole lot faster once you force yourself to bring other people on board. Then it feels real. And then you have other people to collaborate with. But of course, even if you have literally nobody, you can still do it, you know, yourself. So there's always an option.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of the same things. As far as Nolan's advice to just kind of think of the project as though you are doing it, rather than leaving that room for doubt. I think that's come in handy for me a lot. Just being like, no, it is happening. And then, yeah, getting people on board, being like, people are into it. It's happening. Going with that, just like working with people you like, working with friends is something that's worked really well for us and introduced us to new people. It's introduced us to you guys, just making stuff with, you know, people that we mutually admire the work of too, I think is something that kind of inspires all of us to keep making things and making them together. Going along with that, just being kind to people, being nice is really important.
Keep things light.
Keep it light, respectful.
Because even you can be serious and you can be like really on the business, but like it should still like feel fun. Like it should still feel like everyone's having a good time.
Yeah, because we're doing it because we love it more than anything else. So yeah, that's what I'd say. I'd say a lot of the same stuff, but it really rings true. Yeah, just keep continuing to get out there and make stuff, even if it is less polished sometimes. I think you can make some really incredible things, just like, I mean, like Pizza House that we made so fast, and like everybody, just to go back to that again, like everybody really impressed me for that. The amount of like the short amount of time that people had to commit to it, but that they really, really did commit to it. And then just what we were left with at the end is something that I think everybody should be really proud of, and that you edited together like a magician.
I think a big thing, the most maybe impressive thing about Pizza House is how quickly and like how much quality you put into the edit of that film, because that came together so insanely fast, and for an improv movie to come together that fast, that polished, it's like big kudos to you.
I was to say, I was kicking myself once because I think I said this into something, but like Richie, we're gonna throw hot dogs around your mom's house.
Yeah.
And we were like, it's
Yeah.
probably not gonna be great for your mom's.
She's probably not gonna appreciate it.
So I was like, use superpower. It'll be fine. It'll be cool. I'll animate it. I didn't think about the implications of what I had to do after.
But you did it, and
Yeah.
it looks great.
It looks so
fun.
good.
Yeah, it's so cool. That whole final sequence, everybody loves it. It's yeah.
It's so good. As soon as the raccoons come out in droves.
It's one of my favorite lines. What was it? Army of Darkness, come to Rufus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me go back to the beginning. I'm a raccoon.
Yeah.
That was the hardest part of that whole movie.
That was
getting through
Williams'
that
like
line.
first real speaking role too, and
Yeah, he was in Lake Titty Crab. He's the bear.
He's the bear, yeah.
he's
He's
the
the bear.
silent part in that, and he was a body double in Bad Crop. He's been on set with a lot of our stuff, but that was the first time I think he had a real speaking role, and like I think he's got some of the funniest lines in the film.
And that was the
Yeah.
only time that us three, one of us would break on every single take. That was the
Every
hardest take
time.
to get.
Yeah.
When he was like, I'm a raccoon.
I'm a raccoon.
I'm so sorry.
Like a guy in a raccoon suit, or what?
I'm Rufus, the raccoon. You guys, Jordan. Oh no. I'm a raccoon. I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry too.
And then in the take,
William was the most like
he was like
together during it too. Like
Yeah.
we just couldn't.
It was really funny.
It was
Well,
great.
Well, it was great because we got past the initial "I'm a raccoon" and you held it together, but then the very end he brought it back, and we're like, "No!"
You're like,
and you almost break. Well, you can see it. You almost break, but you did. You held it together. It was
yeah.
great. Yeah.
Thank you guys for having us for that and for having us for this. This
Oh my
is
gosh.
awesome.
It's been
enjoy.
too long coming, so it's great
absolutely.
that this happened. And
Yeah.
from this, people just need to go watch your stuff. So if you're watching this, there's only one thing to do. Where can people find you guys?
That'd be Ghoul Capone.
Ghoul Capone
Pictures.
picture.
Yeah, on YouTube, we have a lot of shorts on there right now, and that feature Rotten Shadows. And then in the within the year, there will be at least a few more shorts up. I think Nessie's film Head Scientist will likely be coming out this year.
Oh, nice.
And then my upcoming films Bad Crop and Grover's Mill should be in October. So
Yeah, the Halloween season's gonna be a big one.
yeah, we're gonna have a lot coming out for that.
Sweet.
A lot of October films this year. So yeah.
Oh man. Well, cool. Well, thank you guys again. Thank you all for watching this video, and we'll see you guys later.